Hey everybody, welcome to the Adventist Hoops podcast. Today I have the head coach for the girls basketball team at Loma Linda Academy, also the athletic director, Lucio Camacho. Lucio, welcome to the Adventist Hoops podcast.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So Lucio and I go back to my first opportunity to coach Adventist varsity basketball, which is at Mesa Grande Academy, and he was the athletic director there and allowed me to coach. Lucio, I just want people to get to know you a little bit. Where did you grow up? What was your, experience with Adventism growing up?
So I grew up and went to San Pasqual Academy. That's where I went to high school and had a wonderful experience there. But we never had organized sports that played competitive schools. Something that I craved, something that I wanted. And I think that's been one of my driving forces as an athletic director as well as a coach.
And for kids that even grew up in California, you'll have to describe where that is and what that is because it doesn't exist anymore.
It's true. So San Pasqual Academy is near Escondido, about an hour, maybe a little more than an hour north of San Diego. And it was a beautiful area, nestled over by Wild Animal Park, if you have any idea where that is. It was, beautiful settings, and it's no longer part of our system.
So Southern California, you're a Lakers fan, you're a SoCal kid from the beginning, which is unfortunate that you're a Lakers fan, but it is what it is. Why did you, as you grew up, how did you get into Adventist education? Why did you want to be an educator?
My parents my parents went back to being Adventist followers. My dad was never an Adventist, my mom was, and so we did what we did and then went back into the faith when I was about 11 or 12. And that was a tough age to become Adventist. I could no longer watch cartoons on Saturday. I couldn't play. There was a lot of I can'ts I felt. Obviously now, looking in hindsight, it was all something that was good for me, and my parents did. But my dad actually was probably my role model in what I do. I mean, he was a church youth helper, and he did a lot of tournaments and created basketball teams for us, and created baseball and track and field days. And so to this day, I still laugh with my dad. I said, "Man, Dad, you were doing I do now as a job for just because you enjoyed it." So that's kind of where I think my love for it happened. I've always loved athletics, and so to combine that into a situation in Adventism where we can create the opportunities for the kids, I thought was kind of my calling.
I should have done this before we started, but and for people that are just listening, they won't care about this, but can you tilt your laptop down a little bit? I got so distracted by the cityscape, the skyscrapers on your background there. I forgot to ask you to do that. There we go. Now we can see you better. When did you start developing a love for basketball specifically? Is that a sport you always enjoyed growing up, or was it something that kind of grew?
It's something that kind of grew. Baseball was my favorite sport as a kid. And then actually when I started going to Adventist school in 8th grade, that's when I started to enjoy basketball, playing it. So my father created a church league where we played with Kansas Avenue Church, and we had some different opportunities, and that's where my love grew for basketball.
Are you a Dodgers fan?
Not quite a Laker fan, but a huge Dodger fan.
You're not a Lakers fan?
For NBA, I've never really basketball. I just like good basketball players. Like
Okay.
Jason Williams,
I thought you were
my favorite
Lakers
point
fan.
guards ever. Jason Williams, Sacramento guy. So I just enjoy the talent.
I appreciate that. You cut out, but I could hear you mouthing that you're a huge Dodgers fan. So you're excited. They're in the World Series. We're recording this October 2024. So best of luck.
Dodgers, Yankees, you can't beat it.
That's huge markets there. As you started to get into your profession, was basketball coaching something that you developed, at the university level, or as you actually just got into the job and started coaching?
That is something that basically, I was always a student of the game, just watching it this, you learn a lot from announcers. You learn a lot from listening to Chick Hearns. You learn a lot from, even now I think they have great announcers who break down things for you. And the average person can have a little more knowledge than just actually learn some things. So that's how it started. And, there was, like I said, there was no um, coaching that was being done when I was in high school or college. We were basically learning how to teach PE. So really, most of my knowledge has come since I've become a professional. Since I started teaching, going to a lot of coaching clinics, going to different seminars for coaches, just a lot of things like that. Also, just picking the brains of people. As I would coach against people, just say, hey, I really like what you did here. Explain that. And the coaching community is they're very willing to share. So that's nice.
And I know in recent years you've, even looked into learning subscriptions, different platforms online on YouTube and everything. So there's lots of resources out there. What was your first coaching job?
First coaching, I was at San Pasqual Academy. I was about 23, and we actually started the varsity program there. So prior to when I got there, they didn't have any competitive athletics, and so we were able to start a boys and girls basketball team. And so we coached them all.
And from San Pasqual, where did you go?
San Pasqual went to Mesa Grande. So I was at San Pasqual for about 7 years. Then at Mesa Grande, I was there for a long time, 15, 16 years. And at Mesa Grande is where I was really able, a lot of things I wanted to do. Because, San Pasqual being a boarding school, our kids came and went. And so it's hard to build a program. So at Mesa Grande, one of my goals was to build a program where, you're teaching the kids from a young age and grooming them and the finished product in high school. And so that was a fun time for me. A lot of learning. I did a lot of learning, and it had some great coaches that we were able to work together and accomplish some of those goals.
Appreciate you saying that as a Mesa Grande coach. Yeah, it was
Well, you're definitely one
probably
of
the
them.
golden years of Mesa Grande boys basketball while I was there. One thing I remember, and again, I was fresh out of college. I graduated from PUC, came down and was coaching there. You provided a lot of support. And yes, I had 4 years of NAIA college basketball experience, sure. But coaching is totally different than playing. And one of the things that you did is we talked on the phone every week. And whether it was just once or maybe more than once, I really cherished those calls a lot. I learned a lot. You helped in a very graceful way to have me think about things of how I wanted to, establish this team, how I wanted to build it, how we wanted to operate, and I really appreciated that. How important to you, and I know that you have a lot of assistants and people that you have put in leadership positions in your program now at Loma Linda, but even at Mesa Grande, how important is mentorship for you?
So I believe that the number one job as athletic director is to help my coaches be successful. Help them navigate through times that can be difficult. There's always going to be difficult times. You never go through a year where it's perfect. So mentorship is big. I mean, some coaches I have are well versed in what they're doing. They're veterans, but still, sometimes I'm just somebody that they want to vent to. I have coaches who are great coaches. And I remember one time I had a coach who came to me and was complaining about quite a few things. And I said, Coach, I told you about these situations. Because, in Adventist schools, we have well-rounded kids. And there's a lot of stuff going on. You got mission trips. You have fire trips. You have a lot of things that are super important to these kids' development. And I value them all. But I try and tell my coaches ahead of time, hey, listen, in this week, kids are going to be gone or they're going to be busy. And this coach was really mad. And I finally just kind of said, listen, Coach, I told you this. He goes, oh, I know you did. I just want to yell at somebody. Is it okay if I just use you? And I'm like, oh, okay, if that's what you need, I'm good. So there's a lot of
That's
different
hilarious.
ways to help a coach, get through times or feel feel supported. It's one of our most important jobs as an AD, because coaches are in essence how we touch the kids. And so if you get a good coach, that's gold. And you want to treat them. I want to treat them with as much support as possible so they stick around for a long time. Because as you know, there's a lot of hurdles being a coach. You know, very few coaches are doing it for the money, and very few coaches are doing it because the parents are sitting there telling them what a great job they're doing everything. So we want to make sure they're valued and they're having an enjoyable experience also.
Talk about some of those Mesa Grande Academy girls teams through the, mid 2000s into the early 2010s.
Yeah, I was very proud of those girls. And you guys, and as you know, Coach Walker, Bob Walker he was steering the ship at that time. He did an unbelievable job. And now as I go through all my courses, like you said, I read a lot and listen to a lot of podcasts, going through a lot of coaching things. It's amazing how so many of the tips they give you on how to build culture, how to build team, how to build family. Bob was doing those 20 years ahead of his time. And he was just a natural, and he really made every girl feel valued, from the girl who was the MVP of the league to the girl who got hardly any time. And so the teams were very bonded. They're very focused on what their goals were, and they really valued and loved no matter what happened. I think that goes big. Is one of my big things is creating an environment where there's no fear of failure. And I think Bob did that great. But those girls were just awesome girls. And one of my goals when talking about the program was, I want to win girls, because it seems like sometimes there's a wedge there. Like, okay, you either win, have a certain type of player, you coach a certain way, but you have nice kids and you coach a certain way. So I wanted to say, hey, we can interact, we can intermix both of us, coach in a way that is transactional and in a way that the kids feel important without having to do all the typical things you do as a coach. Our girls won, and we won one year CIF championship, and the same year we won the CIF highest GPA. So we are winning with not only athletes who dedicate themselves, but their GPA was at 3.92 that year. And we had president of the senior class, the pastor, girls who were doing a lot of things, and they're the nicest girls, and they're all extremely successful now. And this goes throughout. I think it's pretty normal in our Adventist system. We have good kids who value other things besides basketball. And that can be sometimes frustrating as a coach, because, once in a while you want a kid who just wants to play basketball 24/7. And you get those once in a while. But again, I think our system, having kids be a part of the trips and be in choir and do be on the band, those are all.
And Mesa Grande was not a big school at that during those years. I mean, I don't remember what the enrollment numbers were around there, but like
120-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and regularly winning the league. I don't remember or know the stats on like how many times, they won the section or, the whole southern region, but
Bob was very successful. I think he went 10 years in a row winning league. I think at one point he won 120 or 130, some big number like that, league games in a row. I want to say he went to the finals. Those girls teams went to the finals 4 times, won it twice, went to state 6 times. So it was a very successful time for us.
And you were integral to those teams as well, coaching those girls teams. And you talked about the mentorship of Bob Walker. When you went to Loma Linda, my understanding is Loma Linda Academy is the largest Seventh-day Adventist K through 12 in the North American division. I don't know if that is true or not, but I think that is true. Lucio mouth.
I think it's close, but I think yes, at this point it's still the case.
Yeah. So you go from smaller schools, typical Adventist schools, 100, 200 kids or whatever, to Loma Linda Academy. What did you have some things that you always dreamed about doing at these other schools that now you were able to implement?
Yeah, Loma Linda again is kids are the kids, and our Adventist culture is strong, and I think we have. So the kids are still very good kids who funded and respectful, and I've had coaches. So when I interview a coach, one of the first things I do is tell them what the negatives are and what the positives. And my negatives are always, we have well-rounded kids, so you're gonna have times when they can't participate, whether it's summer because they're going on this, that, or the other, right? And I tell them that's part of our culture. But I tell them the positives are you're not going to get more respectful, nicer kids with great families. And the parents are great. The families are great, very supportive. So yeah, those things are similar at Loma Linda, but being in an Adventist community, it did open up some doors with ideas I've always had. So one of the things we're doing currently is we call Next Level. So we wanted to start getting these kids more involved, not only in how to shoot, throw, or catch a ball, but kind of our culture. So we provide during the summer, we provide a Next Level, which is a summer camp for kids. And we do basically first grade through high. And we do a week of basketball. We do a week of baseball, softball. So we do that. And then after school, we do an after school program too on Fridays where we do the same kind of thing. And that's allowed us to get to the kids a little earlier and provide them with not only the opportunity to start, culture, but to see what they like, and I think it's a good thing for the community as far as get to have their kids in someone they're safe, the people they know as well, to get them home tired. Hopefully they rest a little bit. So yeah, and that's also been financially good for us too. So it's a win-win, and we've been able to do some things with the finances that help us just breathe a little easier because, as you know, athletics is always needs funds.
How are you connected to the larger Adventist athletic community in Southern California? I know you mentioned to me one time that you have regular, or maybe it's just once a year at the beginning of the school year, but athletic director meetings with other ADs in the conference. Why are those kinds of things important?
Yeah, so we meet one time a year, even though with Dave Tickner, she's our superintendent. She wants to meet more often, which I think is great. We're able to share ideas, we're able to help each other with thoughts. And the last thing too, it's a good place, a good platform. Nobody knows what you go through is not in your shoes, and we're all in each other's shoes. So that's also a place where, again, we can sometimes we gripe, sometimes we congratulate. We're able to do things. Because most schools, as you know, they don't have that many. We're lucky here at Loma Linda. I have 6 PE teachers and assistant AD. So we have a little community that we can rely on. But even just with the athletic director world, not many people, even PE teachers don't really know what athletic director is. So it's a good community to, again, bounce ideas off each other, play with each other. And so, yeah, that's been what we do with Southern California. And, we also stay in touch with people who aren't here. And at PUC, it's always nice to be able to talk to them. So I think we have a decent.
You're intermittently cutting out, especially in the last like 10 seconds or so. It's happened throughout, but it hasn't really been a big issue. But yeah, maybe if you're closer, it won't be working so hard to get your voice there. But
I think I talk low too. I've been told that. I'll try to speak a little louder.
You're fine. It's just, it might be trying to grab your audio from further away. You should be good now. It's interesting because I think that what you're talking about amongst coaches happens informally, just one-on-one at like college tournaments, like you're talking about at the Southwestern tournament or at the Union tournament. Coaches just informally kind of talk. It would be kind of cool. Of course, you know me. My gears are like working here to have some sort of just like a little place where coaches, maybe just one little session for lunch, beginning of one of those tournaments, to be able to just have a little round table and talk and support each other. But yeah,
Yeah, it's a great idea. Great idea.
it was your idea. You're gonna we'll name it the Lucio Camacho Memorial Coaches Roundtable. Let's see here. I was going to ask you this because, as someone that's been competing in CIF, our California's Interscholastic Federation for decades now, you can appreciate and understand why it's important for us to play Adventist schools non-Adventist schools helps us get better. There's a whole world outside of Adventist, but I was going to ask what your thoughts are on, is there a balance between going completely in on that, because there's some Adventist schools that don't play any Adventist schools. They're only playing schools in their state athletic association, and then I think there's still a few Adventist schools that they don't play that many games, and they don't play outside of maybe the Adventist tournament. So, is there a good balance between those two? I think that, like I said, there's some programs that they're so competitive and achieving at a really high level, so they say, well, it's not really a priority for us to play Adventist schools.
Dustin, on this one, everybody has a different idea what's best for their community. So I think everybody has to decide, hey, what's the best for my community, and go with that. Some schools, like you said, who have very limited program, and they want to keep it that way. And you have some that, I've been watching, obviously, your podcast, and you have teams like Tampa and San Gabriel who are, they're really reaching far, and that's great. Each one has their what they feel is best for the community. I would say that I think that there has to be constant evaluation on your community, right? Because what is good for Loma Linda today not be the best for Loma Linda in 3 years, and so not settling and not. I like things changing constantly. So I almost have to sit myself down and say, okay, this is working, just leave it alone, So, but I do see a lot of programs where you can see where they could probably benefit from either amping it up or dropping it back, So I just think that as a community, and that's, I'm going to go off a little bit on a side note here, Dustin. So I don't have a whole lot of years left of AD, right? I'm going to be done in further later. But one of my goals is to have, as a community, and basketball obviously is always the face of most schools, right? Have us, as an Adventist community, reevaluate what our programs do for our schools, right? And I'm not saying that pro sports right now. I'm saying, again, every school, every conference should say, where are we with our programs? Like, where can we find value in our programs? Where can our programs benefit us, or where are they hurting us? Right? Where are they hurting us? Where do they need more work? Where do we need to cut out? Where can we support? So I feel like in most of our Adventist programs, they started about 40 years ago, and it was a pastor like yourself who maybe played college ball and decides, hey, I wanted to start a boys basketball team. And that's kind of where everything started. Everything was one boys basketball team at La Sierra Academy, or I think La Sierra Academy was one of the first schools to do it. And that was when I remember in 82, I was an 8th grader, and the guy said, hey, we're the only Adventist school to play other schools. So that was about 82, 83. And board members and conferences begrudgingly said, okay, but you can't cost us any money and you can't miss any school. Those are still on the board, or those people's ideas are still on the board. So they're remembering, hey, 20 years, 30 years ago, you said you didn't cost us any. And we're past that, right? We were in diapers back then, and now we're 21 years old and we're still wearing the same clothes. And I think that there needs to be a big evaluation of where sports fits in our education system, because it needs to fit. And I think it can be valuable, but it can also be hurtful. So there needs to be some people who are on the higher ups who decide, hey, we're done just putting this aside. And right now, every program is basically decided by us, the ADs, right? The AD decides here and there, and it's not much of a. I mean, yes, like in my school, I always run everything by my admin. You know, we're like this year we started flag football, CIF. That was running. We're starting beach volleyball, and I ran that by them. And when I talk to them, we talk about what the benefits are, how it affect our education program, you know, things like that. Still believe that there needs more buy-in, more ownership by our conferences and by our church.
What would that lead to if there was more support?
That would lead to the feeling of one, right? That's like a team. Like I feel right now, like the team is. I mean, obviously, music has always been a part of our schools, education, the ministerial part, the week of prayers. But we've been slowly trying to figure out where does this athletic thing fit, right? You still have teachers who get mad because of this or that, and I think we're growing, right? That's not as bad, but it's not a benefit necessarily as far as, I mean, I'm not even talking financially. That would be great, right? I'm talking more of the understanding that we are a part of the education process and we are part of helping each one of our students grow as Christians and grow as adults.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you felt like there was any value or potential value in Adventist athletics outside of just the personal development of the students. If there is something that is more, like you said, potentially even financially helping our different institutions stay relevant, continue to have enrollment numbers that make sense. I don't know that that's necessarily something that you can speak to personally at Loma Linda because it's the enrollment seems to be doing great there.
Oh, and again, Loma Linda, I've been blessed because I have a lot of different views. So I was at a boarding school, right, where I started the whole program, and it started small. And I think by the time it ended, we had volleyball teams and basketball teams, and our seasons were typically 10 to 12 games. Then I went to Mesa Grande, where again they already had a great program there, and it was handed off to me. And we were able to, get some good coaching, and get some programs developed in different ways, and it helped me kind of in a smaller setting be able to be out there. And then Loma Linda was one of the bigger schools in our area that also helped with the situation as far as always that next step is with the monies and because we have 30. Right now I have 38 coaches that we hire for our program for junior high and high school. So that's helping
38.
with that. Yeah,
Wow.
38 coaches, and that doesn't include my summer program. So you learn how to manage these people, but you're trying to get them all on the same page. So when you talked about the issue, I do say that we look around at most programs, other private schools. Like we have a school right down the road, Allen Christian, and they're about the same size with the same tuition, and they're prospering, right? So again, I'm not saying it's because of athletics, but it would be nice to evaluate these things. It'd be nice to evaluate, like somebody to come in and I know I just was at a conference. I was at a conference. Our conference had a in-service. And one of the things that the superintendent said was that in the last 30 years, we've lost like 20% of our enrollment. Maybe it was even bigger than that. I can't remember. And then I looked into it, and the 30 years prior to that, we lost 20% of our enrollment. So we got to do things differently. I think we have to start looking at ways to help. And I think sports is a big way to help. I mean, I think if we run good programs that everybody's proud of and everybody's on the same page from administration to conference officials to coaches, and that's part of your mentorship, right? We hire coaches who have our same vision. We hire coaches who understand what we're trying to do and why we're doing it. And The wins and losses will come and go, but if you have that kind of vision and that kind of leadership, I think you're always going to have people who want to be involved, and that will in essence help enrollment. I think we're at a stage too, Dustin, where you can't take away programs anymore. Right, 30 years ago when I first started, I think the threat was you better be good or else we're going to cut your program. I don't think that threat
Really?
is.
So
Yeah,
you
I don't
felt
think
that?
that threat can be there anymore because cutting a program is losing. You're going to lose kids.
Yeah.
So the argument is always, is Dustin coming to our school because of basketball, or would he come anyways? Well, we don't know that, right? But I definitely know that if we cut out programs, we will lose kids.
Mm-hmm.
So at the
Yeah.
very worst, we're retaining kids because.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, that really does say something when you look at it that way. It's a part of the entire package of a kid's educational experience, being able to participate in music, in sports, and all the extracurriculars that a school has to offer. Yeah, what school just offers classes and then the kids go home, right?
It's
Not,
homeschool.
not many. Yeah, not many. Hey, I wanted to ask you about your son. You mentioned your dad and him kind of starting up Adventist, teams and sports when you were growing up, and then your son saw you in that role as well. And how proud of you are your son now at Mile High Academy as the athletic director, also the girls' head coach there.
So proud of my son. It's funny because, Dustin, we want our kids to all be better than us. So when he was at that age where he was deciding, what am I going to do in college? I was pushing him to everything. First of all, I started pushing him to what I wanted to do at some point. Why don't you be a lawyer? Why don't you go do this? Why don't you do that? And, finally he just said, hey, Dad, I really want to be an athletic director and a teacher. And I was like, well, if that's what you want, then that's great. And he is just doing a fantastic job. It's nice to see his talents are people. And that's kind of what ADs and coaches have to do. We're in the people business, right? So when your talents are people, it makes it easier. But right now his team made the playoffs. I'm very fortunate because he calls me a lot, both just to talk about, hey, what's going on with his team, or maybe he's having an issue, or sometimes he needs a paperwork that I might have. So I'm very happy that he still needs me. So that makes me feel relevant, right? But just the way he does things. But Dustin, I can't say enough about leadership, and his leadership is great. And I see what his principal does, his administrators do to support him, and that they see the value in athletics. And I think that if we all had that, if we all would, figure out what it is our community needs, and going back to that, I think it'd be a big thing. No, I'm so proud of Michael. I mean, I know he's gonna do big things, and he's gonna be 20 times the person I've been.
It was special to watch you guys coach against each other at the PUC tournament this last year. I know
I thought he was going to beat me after the first quarter. I was like, okay, let's go.
Well, shout out Michael and Jill getting married. That's awesome.
That is so awesome. And she's his coach, and she's a wonderful person, a great coach.
Volleyball, yep. Just won their division at Walla Walla tournament I saw. Yeah. Let's talk about your team. Last year, you guys had a great season, great record. You were top 5 Adventist team in our Adventist Hoops, rankings. Talk about your success last year.
Yeah, last year we had a team that was very well put together. We had great seniors on the team that were going to miss tremendously. We had a good overall team. We were blessed with height. They were, again, good girls who took the coaching well, and got a couple of good roles, and we had a good year. Yeah.
You won the PUC tournament, hosted a playoff game, thrilling win, first round game.
That was fun.
Yeah, right at the buzzer, got a lay-in, and I was going to talk about maybe a couple of your outgoing seniors that you graduated that you're going to miss that were influential in that team last year.
So we had 5 seniors, and they're all going to be missed. Right? We had Bex. She was just a steady influence on the team, and she's doing good things. Sierra, we had E, just a pleasure to coach. Jordan, who was on the team for 40 years, and just a great athlete, always willing to help out wherever. And we had Annabelle, who was actually a great cross-country runner, and she won league in cross-country and just killed it, but she was also one of our basketball players we'll miss greatly. And then we had
It's cut out for the last 7 seconds or so. Sorry.
Gia. Can you hear me
Gia,
now?
yeah, Gia.
So Gia was also our league MVP, and so we're going to miss them all greatly. And they were all our bigs, so we lost all our bigs. So,
Okay.
but more than that, their leadership was missed greatly.
You're returning some great players too.
We do bring back Marion, who had an ACL tear, and she is coming off that. She's been working hard, and she is one of the few girls in my 30 years who is a gym rat and lives for basketball. So I'll be looking forward to her. We also have, Reagan Gray, who's going to be a sophomore.
Point guard.
Point guard. And she's also a gym rat. Looking forward to her and Marion playing together. And then we have London. We actually just won defensive MVP for flag football. And ironically, she's my defensive stopper too. And she's a junior. So she is going to be our only bigs, and she kind of plays a dual role, so that'll be fun. So we're gonna have to change our game this year to fit our personnel, but we're looking forward to it. And the girls have great attitudes; they've been working hard, and Stella, who's a senior, and she's also really good shooter, was probably overshadowed a bit at times, but I think she can step up and do some good things.
Yeah, I was going to say Marianne didn't get to play at all last year. She has done some work with the Philippines national team, development team or some things like that. So she seems like she loves the game, and shame she got injured. And she'll be a junior this year.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I think these are all the questions I want to ask you. Now I want to give a podcast exclusive. I don't even know if I'll include this. I might cut this out, but I might leave it in because I don't know. I'm not quite ready to announce this publicly, but in case I do include this, we are planning to do an Adventist Hoops All-American Weekend next year, 2025, July 31 through August 3, and the location is going to be Loma Linda, California. And Lucio, in talking with him, he has decided that he is willing to host these activities at Loma Linda Academy. So I just wanted to ask you, why did you decide to get on board with this All-American Weekend?
This is a shout out to you, Dustin. I think what you're doing is fabulous for the kids. It is something that I keep saying it, so I'm sorry I keep reiterating it, but to make our kids feel valuable, make them feel special, make them feel that athletics is a way that they can display their talents as well as go out and, so many good things. And you're out there doing all the things you do. And so when you said, hey, I want to do this, I said, anything you want, Dustin. So I'm more than happy to support what you're doing for our kids.
Well, we're excited for it. I mean, it's going to be the top 20 boys, top 20 girls, Adventist academies in the country, and they'll all descend on Loma Linda there at the end of July, early August. We're going to have 2 games on Saturday night, but that's just going to be part of the festivities. We're going to have all day on Friday, a lot of clinics, workouts, seminars for all these top Adventist players that are going to be there. We're planning to have all the Adventist colleges there as well, so all those coaches can see all these kids up close and personal, and hopefully getting more of our Adventist kids going to Adventist colleges and playing. So,
absolutely, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, looking forward to it, and appreciate your support and everything that you signed up for, and maybe some things you don't know you signed up for this All-American Weekend. But Lucio, thank you so much for being on the Adventist Hoops podcast, for everything that you've meant to me personally in my basketball coaching journey, but also to the larger Adventist athletics world. I know that you are a humble person and you won't say this. And frankly, I don't really have the perspective to be able to say probably truly what you mean to Adventist education and athletics, but specifically in Southern California, I know that you are a respected figure and have made an impact on a lot of people. So appreciate you, and I hope that you have a great season, and best of luck.
Thank you.